It's time now for County-Wide, a presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. You'll hear about the interesting issues and happenings that affect all our lives. Here's today's County-Wide.
Well, good day again, and welcome to the program. It is County-Wide. I'm Brad Miller, and I'm happy to welcome into studio again for part two of a two-part conversation. Alexis James and Commander Chris Dowd, both with the Cottonwood Police Department. Alexis, do you work with the department or dispatch? How do we say it correctly?
So it is the Cottonwood Public Safety Communications Center, and
Gotcha.
we are a section of the Cottonwood Police Department.
Okay. Certainly working very closely in
Yes.
tandem, as we talked about in our first segment. They are looking for folks. There's some trainees, I think, even as we speak, that are kind of helping man the phones and learn this system. So I wanted to focus in our second of these two parts a little bit more about from the inside looking outward. We did a touch of that in the first segment, but mostly talked about 911 and being responsible before you call that number. Let me just ask you first, yourself, you've been doing this 8
years.
How did you get involved, you personally?
Well, so I had absolutely no understanding or no real knowledge of 911 dispatch whatsoever. I was waiting tables at the time where a few officers would frequent, some detectives, officers, and
donut shop. I got it, Chris. I got to say it. I had to say donut shop. It was a freebie.
It's true.
But
so, we just sparked up some conversations, and there was an opening with the dispatch center, and they just kind of sent me a text and said, hey, if you're ever interested, there's an opening. And it just felt like an opportunity to change up what I was doing. I was young, wanted to get, new life experiences, and I just stepped in. I had no prior qualifications. I had, I graduated high school and waited tables.
Well, but the desire, clearly,
yes.
to do these kinds of things and to be able to kind of communicate clearly. And as you and I have just met today and have been talking, you can do that very, very well. So there is that. Let's talk to some potential recruits out there. If someone, 911 might be the ultimate service that we take for granted. We just think 911 and I'll get help. And most of the time, that's exactly how it works. That's how it was designed to work. But people make it run and make it go.
Yes.
To me, here again, I'm thinking about what I see on TV and in movies. It looks like a technical, I would be just terrified. All those screens, the headsets, the microphones. Oh my gosh, I'm never going to be able to learn how to do all that.
Oh, you would. And most people can. But it is a very rigorous training that you go through.
Yeah.
It is approximately 43 weeks, so almost a year's worth of training.
Wow.
When you start, we train you in 3 disciplines: call taking, police dispatching, and fire EMS dispatching. And the reason it goes in that order is because call taking, you have to be able to do that to do anything else. That's the foundation for what we do.
The back and forth between the
Yes.
911 caller. Sure.
Yes.
Sure.
Police dispatching is very dynamic, so that comes next, because if you can't function in those dynamic situations and kind of spontaneous moments, it does us no good to put you through the fire dispatching where there's more structure to it.
Okay.
So it takes a lot. It can be overwhelming, and we need people that are willing to buckle down, be receptive and open, and have a passion for wanting to help people be in the community and work with others.
Okay, and that team and the two of you both kind of talked about that in the first segment. It seems like this is a heck of a team where a lot of people have to have their game on.
Yes.
To get any of it to kind of work right, and that's probably true of minor calls, minor fender benders, say, where an officer might be needed for just a report, or where someone is in a house fire with injuries.
Oh yeah.
It's the same setup, no matter what the call.
No matter what the call. We
You're
treat
ready.
everybody the same no matter what's coming in. Even if it's not what you would consider a life-threatening emergency on a 911, you are treated the same. Everyone gets the same level of service, and that's something we really pride ourselves on, because we are customer service-based. We're serving the community. We want people to call us on their worst day and go away thinking, wow, maybe it wasn't as bad, or they really helped me. We want to have a positive impact if we can.
Yeah, they did their part. Sure.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about, because Cottonwood is a regional center. We visited this in our first piece, but expand on that just a little bit, if you would. That means you service a bigger area than just the city.
Yeah, approximately a little over 700 square miles is our service area. Yes, it is. It is big. We have 3 police agencies, 6 fire EMS agencies, as well as 2 smaller. Not sure how I would word it really. We for the Rangers, Dead Horse State Park Rangers, as well as the Yavapai College. We support them through letting them work on our radio and give them assistance and backup when needed. But we take a call, and it's not just that one call. We have other calls. We have radio traffic going on for PD as well as fire EMS. So being a regional center, there is things happening all at the same time. It requires people being able to multitask and rapid task at a degree much higher than most jobs.
Chris, from the police perspective, you're really counting on them to have your back. I'm just thinking about a routine traffic stop that gets bad for some reason. The last person you will have talked to before that traffic stop and whoever's driving that car is going to be the dispatcher, and they need to know the situation you're in.
Yeah, we in fact, we talk about that quite a bit about sometimes dispatchers don't want to step on officers' toes, right? So we have officers who will say, "Hey, show me out with a suspicious person at this intersection." And I have had conversations with Alexis about, "Hey, prompt your dispatchers to say, hey, I need you to tell me what that person looks like, what they're wearing, so that if something bad goes on, we can get you help."
Right.
So it's almost like the same thing as a 911 call. Like, give me the information ahead of time, so if it does escalate, we can get you help there and know how to do it. So it's kind of that back and forth. And as you build relationships with the dispatchers, they really get to know your voice.
Yes.
They know when they know when you're stressed. They know when you're happy, and a lot of that can play into it. It can be a routine thing, but the change in my voice will prompt the dispatcher to be like, "Hey, somebody else start over there because they don't sound right." So they
you make those kinds of calls?
Absolutely.
No kidding.
Sometimes they'll pull a traffic stop and they ask, maybe there's more of a delayed pause before they ask for something that's routine. So then it's, do you want a second unit? Are you code 4? Checking in, because you can pick up on when they're not doing things like they normally do, or their inflections in their voices. Yeah, absolutely. Those are things we pick up on. Again, we work with each other long hours, multiple days a week.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Just where that team goes. Chris gave an illustration off mic that if the 3 of us, the door was locked and we were in this room for 12 hours, we'd get to know each other pretty well and probably argue a little bit over who knows what. But all of those things are part and parcel of how this job works. You want to have a personal relationship between officers, fire, and dispatch. Yes, it's absolutely imperative that you know everybody on a personal level, because I think you tend to understand then when they're having a bad day. Rather than if you don't know the person, it's just that person just they're being nasty. Right. Maybe they're just having a bad day. Right. And that's something that it's really important for the public to understand is everybody in public safety, we're people. We have families. We have bad days. We have good days. Yeah. Our dogs die. We back into our neighbors' cars. We have those same situations. So I think sometimes we lose that perspective. And even as public safety, we lose that perspective amongst each other. Yes. That's why it's important for us to communicate very well with them. Yeah. That's the kind of thing, though, that you can't teach. No. How do you so that it seems to me that's going to get to kind of the core of where you're at the end of the day, the technology and all of those kinds of things, that's the stuff you can learn, but it's going to become it's going to go down to the human level no matter what you do. And that's where you want it. As much as we would like to be able to say if you can meet this standard for typing, and if you can function with these screens and follow through the CAD, that's all that we would require. Unfortunately, there does have to be a little bit more of a subjective side to it, because you do have to be able to mesh with the people in that room and have that common sense and intuition when it comes to working with our responders. It is imperative, like he mentioned, to have that. And so sometimes you find people, and a lot of people will pick that up on their own and realize it's not for them. Right. That's not always the case, and sometimes we have to go about that ourselves. But right. Okay. Talk to me a little bit before our break about If you take a call, it's a very serious situation. Say it's a house fire and we suspect there are people inside or injured. You're going to start to delegate some of those to other people in your office, other dispatchers. So does that make you the general on the field for that moment? How do you go about that?
So, we kind of have a saying in dispatch, any of the successes that we have are not by any one person. It's all of us, because it does require all of us. It is 100% team effort in that room. I take that house fire call. My dedication is to talking to the caller safety, pertinent information for the responders, while I don't even have to say anything, because they are trained and they know that they are getting that call dispatched out. They are getting law enforcement started.
And when you say they, you're talking maybe
the
someone
other dispatchers
sitting next to you. Okay,
yes.
So it's just bingo. It's already happening.
That's part of the training, is that room awareness, being able to assess the situation. I can tell by what she's saying on the phone, my other dispatcher, my partner. I'm like, this is serious. All right, do we need law enforcement? She may not say anything to me, but she's listening.
Right.
And she'll give me a head nod, and I know to get them started.
Wow. This is exciting. I mean, it's fascinating. Here again, it's something that we take for granted, and you just don't think. It's one of those things that you just don't think about how much goes into it. And the human element of this is absolutely huge. Before we take a break, I do want to remind folks that you're looking still for help.
Yes.
Some trainees are there, I think, even as we do the show here this morning, but more help is needed. How do I go about that? The city website, I suppose?
The City of Cottonwood website, there will be postings for a communication specialist. Fill out the application. If you have a resume, please submit a resume with it.
Right.
And if you just want some more information before you apply, call in. We'll set you up with an observation.
Okay, wonderful. We need to take a short break, so we'll do that. We'll come back. We'll talk again. Alexis James, Chris Dowd, we're talking about 911, police dispatch, police and fire, and our emergency responders. How do they get the information to them, and what is your responsibility when you make that 911 call? We'll break. We'll be back to Countywide right after this.
Life changes, then it changes again. Predicting the unexpected in life is impossible. That's why it's called unexpected. So when it comes to financial goals, our philosophy is don't predict, prepare. Hi, I'm Edward Jones financial advisor Matthias Sandoval. A job loss, change in health, or a loss of a loved one can have a big impact on your family's financial security. Let's work together to help make sure you're equipped for life's unexpected events. Call our office to schedule a face-to-face appointment.
Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
Verde Solaire, your hometown heating, air conditioning, and plumbing company in the Verde Valley, and your trusted North Central Arizona Goodman dealer. Goodman is a name you can trust with the revolutionary Comfort Bridge technology, factory installed into select Goodman gas furnaces and air handlers to ensure the entire system operates at peak energy efficient performance. Verde Solaire offers free in-home estimates, locally owned and operated since 1983. Visit them at verdesolaire.com. Better, cleaner, faster.
Are you looking for a way to support your local schools? Then donate to the tax credit program today. Here's why. At Oak Creek School in Cornville, your tax credit dollars are used to fund field trips, provide sports uniforms, enrich our agriculture program, help our 8th grade students go to Washington, D.C., purchase playground equipment. Ready to donate? You could donate up to $200 as an individual or $400 for a married couple filing jointly. To donate at Oak Creek School, you can find the form on our website at ocs.cocsd.us.
Rice Accounting encourages you to make your Arizona tax donations now.
Let's talk. That's the message from Jonna Randall Murdoch, your local Farm Bureau agent, providing a personal touch when making insurance and financial decisions. Jonna will simplify your insurance needs while offering competitive pricing. Let's talk auto, home, life, and farm. Call Jonna at Farm Bureau today at 928-649-8686. Your Cottonwood Farm Bureau property and casualty insurance company. At Farm Bureau, they insure more than just farms.
Again, welcome back to the program. It is Countywide. Alexis James, Chris Dowd, and we're talking about 911 and what it is. Cottonwood, the regional communication center, looking for help, and you can go to the city's website and fill out an application, learn more information there. But just talking about what this job is and what it entails and what it's not, some extensive training is going to go into it. Years ago, I talked with someone who was a dispatcher and talked to a person who did CPR, talked them through it. They had never taken an instruction, which we all should do. but successfully revived a little girl who had fallen into a pool. It was very emotional for the dispatcher. She recalled she was cool as a cucumber during the call. So the emotion can kind of come later. But so dispatchers are going to need to know what? CPR and other things like that.
Yes, life-saving measures, absolutely. So everyone is required to be CPR certified just to start. So just so we have hands-on knowledge of what we are going to be asking somebody else to do. We're all doing it through the phone. We're not there on scene. However, we do have a program that is connected with our CAD, and it also provides those instructions for us to relay to the caller. So, not only do we have firsthand knowledge of how to do it, we also have a program that supports us provide those instructions to the caller. So
doing CPR yourself is one thing. Telling someone else how to do it properly is a whole different deal.
When we get those calls, and I'll speak for myself on this one.
Yeah.
When I'm giving CPR instructions, which it is often a daily occurrence.
Really?
Yes. I find myself holding my hands in the position and doing it.
Sure.
And we are counting with them. And everyone else in the room, all the other dispatchers know we do nothing but that until help can take over.
Right.
And so you are sitting there, you are counting with that caller, you are reassuring them, and do not give up, because this is it right here. You and me, we're doing it together.
Yeah.
So it can be in the moment we are calm and collected because we are trained to be that way. When you get off, sometimes you have to take a moment because it's a hard situation.
Well, and you're gonna kind of deal with that. Some people who are in what will end up being the most tragic moment of their lives. How do you drill down to that? When a candidate comes in, you can't find that out on day one or even probably by week 10. I don't know. I don't want to discourage anybody who thinks they might be appropriate for this, but what might, let's put it this way, what might be some questions you ask yourself before you even apply to become a dispatcher?
As much as we want our caller or our new people to have empathy and be able to sympathize and those things, we want to know how you cope. So kind of a self-reflection. How do you handle the stressors in your life?
Right.
And then magnify those stressors and kind of play through how you would handle it if, your spouse or a child or a grandparent went through an emergency where maybe you did have to step in. How would you handle that? So it's something that, you really have to self-reflect before you walk into our doors.
Yeah, you've got to just cool hand. I mean, is gonna win the day. You mentioned kids, and that always changes everything for everybody. Yes. When children call, you're going to certainly get somebody got a hold of mom's phone and shouldn't have. How do you? It seems like it's going to be a little bit more difficult, or could be potentially, to figure out if a child has really got an emergency going on or if it's just kids. How do you get there? How do you figure that out?
So we do get a lot of 911. We call them butt dials. That's just the term we use in dispatch.
Right.
And you hear a kid on the other end of the line. And the first thing that we want to do is just try and get that kid focused on us so that we can find out if there is an emergency or if it is, I got a hold of mom's phone. The majority of the time, it is I got a hold of mom's phone. And when mom, take the phone to mom, take the phone to dad.
Right.
And when that happens, generally the parents are so profusely apologetic, and it's like we try and tell them, do not apologize. Let's use this as an education moment for your child to say it's okay. We want them to call 911. We want them to know how to call 911. Sure. I don't want them to ever be afraid of calling 911.
You bet.
Yeah. So we try and use those as education moments, and then if it's emergency, you have to come down to that child's level.
Right.
You can't. How I would talk to an adult is not how I would talk to a child. And all of our dispatchers are trained to bring it down to that level.
Well, and how you would talk to a 4-year-old is not how you're going to talk to a 7-year-old or an 11-year-old or a 16. I mean, all of that is going to be a little bit different, and then it's going to also depend on the youngster.
Yes.
And what kind of a situation they found themselves in. There's an awful lot. There's an awful lot to this, and you never close.
Nope.
How many people are right now? How many people? If I'm calling 911, I'll talk to one of how many people?
There are 5 people in that room.
Okay.
3 senior dispatchers and 2 trainees.
24/7.
24/7.
Some configuration.
Some configuration. Right now why we need staffing. We're understaffed right now, which is why we're trying to get the word out there. We want people to apply. We want to get people in and trained. But right now that's what our staffing is.
Okay. All right. Fascinating stuff. And we so appreciate what both of you do in the office and on the street. Our first responders, and the critical link between the public and the first responders goes through 911, the Emergency Dispatch Center. We'll take a short break. Countywide is back right after this.
Life changes, then it changes again. Predicting the unexpected in life is impossible. That's why it's called unexpected. So when it comes to financial goals, our philosophy is don't predict, prepare. Hi, I'm Edward Jones financial advisor Matthias Sandoval. A job loss, change in health, or a loss of a loved one can have a big impact on your family's financial security. Let's work together to help make sure you're equipped for life's unexpected events. Call our office to schedule a face-to-face appointment.
Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
Verde Solaire, your hometown heating, air conditioning, and plumbing company in the Verde Valley, and your trusted North Central Arizona Goodman dealer. Goodman is a name you can trust with the revolutionary Comfort Bridge technology, factory installed into select Goodman gas furnaces and air handlers to ensure the entire system operates at peak energy efficient performance. Verde Solaire offers free in-home estimates, locally owned and operated since 1983. Visit them at verdesolaire.com. Better, cleaner, faster.
Are you looking for a way to support your local schools? Then donate to the tax credit program today. Here's why. At Oak Creek School in Cornville, your tax credit dollars are used to fund field trips, provide sports uniforms, enrich our agriculture program, help our 8th grade students go to Washington, D.C., purchase playground equipment. Ready to donate? You could donate up to $200 as an individual or $400 for a married couple filing jointly. To donate at Oak Creek School, you can find the form on our website at ocs.cocsd.us.
Rice Accounting encourages you to make your Arizona tax donations now.
Let's talk. That's the message from Jonna Randall Murdoch, your local Farm Bureau agent, providing a personal touch when making insurance and financial decisions. Jonna will simplify your insurance needs while offering competitive pricing. Let's talk auto, home, life, and farm. Call Jonna at Farm Bureau today at 928-649-8686. Your Cottonwood Farm Bureau property and casualty insurance company. At Farm Bureau, they insure more than just farms.
We welcome you back to the program. A very interesting couple of episodes here, a two-parter. This is the second of those two. And as we wrap up with Alexis James and Commander Chris Dowd, Cottonwood PD, talking about the dispatch center. When you call 911, what you are doing is getting a hold basically of these folks that are in our studio today and the folks that they work with and for to get you the relief that you need in an emergency situation, whatever the case may be. And every single day is going to be different. You're doing the same job, but every single person you talk to is going to have a different experience and a different kind of story. That makes it, to me, exciting but intimidating.
It's never the same call, never the same situation. It's always something different.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that. There's going to be some folks, hopefully. I know that you need some help there. I hope some folks are going to hear this and become interested. There is a pretty big investment. You said 43 weeks of training.
Yes. That's
an awful lot. You want to be sure. You want them to be sure as well as the person coming in. What's the best way to do? You said call for information, but you were saying I can do kind of a...
So I dispatch right along, essentially.
Okay,
it is.
Great.
It's
there
a
you go.
sit-in, and you just call the number, our non-emergency line. We will schedule you to come sit in with us. You'll get to hear radio traffic, maybe listen into some phone traffic, and get to communicate with the dispatchers on the floor. And that is the time, ask anything. There is no such thing as a silly question. We want to know what your thoughts are because we want you to be really confident coming in that this is something you're going to put the time and the effort into. So, it's open floor.
Yeah, kind of kick the tires,
yes.
if you will. Well, there's no better way to kind of find out. This is such a unique kind of thing, working in dispatch. It is not for everybody, and finding the right kind of fit, the right kind of people. And it sure seems to me that it would be an extraordinarily rewarding profession once you got in there and
absolutely.
kind of knew what you were doing.
Even on outcomes that maybe didn't come out the way we hoped.
Right.
It's rewarding when you know that you did everything that you could to help that person, and even just the relationship that you built with that caller. It's rewarding in itself that you were there to comfort somebody on the worst day of their life.
Right.
It's rewarding in itself.
That's great. Mention the website, the city's website. You can find information there and I think an application as well. Beyond that, if I want to make a phone call and do that to quote-unquote ride along in the dispatch center, who do I call?
So you're just going to call our non-emergency line. That number is...
Don't call 911.
Not
Gotcha.
911. That number is 928 649-1397.
1397. Okay.
Yes.
Just like that, and get yourself set up. Could be an extremely rewarding career. A lot of responsibility will come your way, but an extraordinary feeling for having done a job very, very well, serving the public. Alexis, James, Chris Dowd, we thank you so much for spending time with us. It's Countywide, and we'll see you next time.
This has been Countywide. Listen in each Tuesday and Thursday at this time. If you have a topic or guest idea that you'd like to suggest, email us, news@myradioplace.com.